Have you ever noticed that after life's heaviest storms, heartbreak, anxiety, or anger, something quietly shifts inside you? Not dramatically, not with fanfare, but in subtle ways. The way your attention moves, the flow of your energy, the way ordinary moments feel different. At first, it may be barely noticeable, almost imperceptible, yet something within is beginning to settle. The Buddha described this process through 4 aspects of awakening, markers of the mind's natural intelligence, not steps to achieve or goals to chase. Viveka brings discernment, helping the mind recognize what nourishes it and what distorts it. Nirodha reveals sacred stillness, where habitual motion pauses and energy realigns. Nimitta emerges as subtle inner signals, guiding awareness through fleeting impressions and sensations. And adhitthāna manifests as unshakable alignment, a quiet steadiness when discernment, stillness, and perception converge. These aspects do not demand effort or mastery. They quietly unfold within consciousness, often unnoticed, until attention is drawn to them. Even in ordinary moments, they may appear. A fleeting clarity, a subtle pause, a gentle signal, revealing the mind's natural capacity to organize itself, to stabilize, and to awaken. Viveka, discernment. Energetic seclusion. Viveka, in the Buddha's teachings, is often translated as discernment or separation, but it is more than making choices or judgments. It begins as a quiet noticing within your own mind, a recognition of the patterns that shape your attention, perception, and energy. Discernment is the subtle awareness that distinguishes what supports your clarity from what scatters it. This awareness is not a practice to follow or a goal to achieve. It unfolds naturally as your attention observes its own habits and tendencies. It creates a space in which you can notice and understand your mind without being carried away by distraction or reactive impulses. This discernment often appears subtly, without effort. You may find that a conversation leaves a lasting impression beyond the words spoken. A crowded room might feel different to you, not because of fatigue or hostility, but because your attention begins to notice which environments, interactions, or energies support your focus and which pull it apart. Small gestures, a tone of voice, or a brief remark may strike deeper than before, revealing that your mind is becoming aware of its own patterns. These observations are not lessons or instructions. They are signs that your consciousness is quietly organizing itself according to its own intelligence. Discernment is not withdrawal or avoidance. It is not an escape from life. It is your mind quietly stepping back, observing, and responding rather than reacting automatically. Everyday actions, pouring tea, walking along a familiar street, observing your breathing, become opportunities to notice how your mind moves. Your attention may linger on details you previously ignored: the movement of your body, the rise and fall of a thought, the way impulses appear and pass. In these moments, you begin to recognize patterns, causal tendencies, and the habitual currents that shape your experience. The Buddha emphasized that discernment comes before insight. Without recognizing the habitual tendencies that structure your consciousness, deeper perception of reality remains limited. Discernment marks this threshold. It helps you notice boundaries within yourself and in relation to the world, and to distinguish between what supports clarity and what undermines it. As this awareness deepens it naturally informs your choices and environment. You may seek solitude not as avoidance, but as a conscious way to allow your attention and energy to rest, consolidate, and renew. You might gravitate towards spaces, activities, or relationships that resonate with your internal clarity, while gently withdrawing from situations that drain or fragment your focus. This is energetic seclusion, the active protection of awareness, a deliberate tending of the fertile ground in which insight and presence can flourish. Energetic seclusion is steady, attentive, and fully engaged with life. It is not cold detachment or aloof withdrawal, but a mindful shaping of your environment and habits to align with the natural intelligence of your mind. Your attention lingers where it is nourishing and withdraws where it is disruptive. Your energy flows without unnecessary fragmentation. Sensitivity to subtle cues, the weight of a word, the resonance of a gesture, the feeling of a space, becomes a guide rather than a distraction. In this lived discernment, your mind exercises its capacity for self-organization, allowing each choice, each moment of solitude, to support clarity, coherence, and readiness for wise action. Through this practice, energetic seclusion is not isolation, but a conscious alignment of inner awareness with outer life, a threshold of awakening where attention, energy, and perception move together harmoniously. Nirodha, sacred stillness, alignment of attention and energy. Nirodha, in the Buddha's teachings, refers to the subtle settling of the mind's habitual currents, the natural alignment that occurs when the constant movement of thought, sensation, and impulse begins to pause. It signifies the cessation of the compulsive momentum of conditioned patterns, not through suppression, but through the spontaneous organization of attention and energy. This stillness is precise, attentive, and internally coherent, allowing you to perceive your own consciousness without distortion. This stillness often arises gradually and subtly. You may notice moments when the usual urgency of thought softens. Problems that once dominated your attention may now pass without pulling you into agitation. Emotions such as irritation, longing, or anxiety may still appear, but their intensity loses its compulsive force. Sacred stillness is revealed not in dramatic withdrawal, but in the quiet unfolding of presence, where each perception is received with clarity and habitual patterns no longer dictate your responses. The experience of stillness is delicate. You can observe the pulse of energy within your body, the weight of your spine against a chair, the rhythm of your breathing, the resonance of sound and movement around you. These sensations reflect the alignment of your attention and energy. Your body is not passive. It participates in the cultivation of stillness, showing how energy and perception harmonize. In this way, mind and body co-arise in coherence, revealing a structure of consciousness that is both alert and stable. Even amid activity, stillness can quietly manifest. In conversation, you may notice the space between words, the rhythm of thought, or the subtle emotional currents underlying speech. During tasks, habitual impatience or distraction may loosen, allowing your energy to flow steadily rather than scatter. Your attention is no longer reactive. It begins to organize itself naturally, noticing impulses without being carried away. This stillness is not inert. It is dynamic, letting awareness settle while remaining fully engaged with life as it unfolds. This sacred stillness transforms your perception. when your mind is no longer compulsively entangled with every arising phenomenon, you can observe patterns that were previously invisible. The rise and fall of thoughts, the interplay of desire and aversion, and the passing currents of memory become intelligible phenomena rather than distractions or compulsions. Stillness reveals your mind's capacity to witness its own organization, providing insight not through effortful analysis, but through the natural unfolding of clarity. Yet sacred stillness is also deeply human. It carries warmth and presence. Without forcing detachment, you begin to notice the depth in ordinary experiences, the resonance of a familiar voice, the steady unfolding of a morning routine, or the subtle satisfaction of a small, unnoticed act. Anchored in stillness, you can perceive without grasping and rest without dulling. Patience arises naturally, not as a rule or instruction, but as a consequence of coherent attention. Stillness also serves as the foundation for the subsequent aspects of awakening. Within its quiet stability, subtle inner signals can emerge, and your mind can gradually cultivate the steady alignment of firmness. Stillness is both ground and field. It provides a stable base where discernment deepens, perception becomes more sensitive, and energy is neither scattered nor compulsively grasped. The Buddha emphasized this stillness as the fertile space from which insight naturally arises, a preparatory clarity rather than a goal to be forced. Ultimately, sacred stillness is the conscious intelligence of cessation, not a negation of life, but a refined attunement to the currents of your own mind. It is the awareness of energy as it moves, rests, and reorganizes itself, offering a living map of attention in motion and at rest. In this stillness, ordinary moments gain new significance. A glance, a touch, or a pause in conversation can remind you of your mind's capacity for coherence, attentiveness, and quiet wisdom. Through this stillness, you discover a depth of presence that is both practical and profoundly human, a steady internal calm that supports the emergence of subtle signals, alignment, and clarity in the next aspects of awakening. Nimitta, inner signals, subtle indicators of awareness. In the Buddha's analysis of consciousness, your mind begins to manifest subtle signals as attention and energy start to settle. These signals, called nimitta, do not need to be cultivated or chased. They arise naturally within your field of awareness. They are your mind's own indicators, showing how attention, perception, and energy are organizing themselves. You may notice these inner signals as fleeting impressions or minor shifts in body and mind. A slight tension in your posture, a small quiver behind your eyes, the rhythm of your breath, or a subtle change in sound can carry information about the state of your awareness. These signals are not experiences to be judged or ignored. They reveal the ongoing organization of your consciousness. As your mind settles, patterns that were previously hidden begin to appear. Habitual impulses and reactions, once unnoticed, show up as transient currents within these inner signals. Through them, you can observe the relationships between sensation, attention, and thought. Ordinary events, a conversation, a gesture, moving through familiar spaces, become opportunities to notice your own internal alignment. Inner signals exemplify the mind observing itself. Consciousness registers its own tendencies without interference. Your body is integral to this process. Subtle bodily sensations participate in these signals. reflecting the emerging coherence of attention and energy. There is no forced effort here. Rather, a natural unfolding occurs, supported by the discernment you have cultivated and the quiet stillness that has allowed your habitual patterns to soften. You begin to notice where your attention gathers, where habitual patterns exert influence, and where energy flows smoothly. In this stage, you experience a subtle intimacy with your own mind. These inner signals show where awareness is steady, where impulses arise, and how your mind begins to organize itself. Insight may not yet be explicit, but the groundwork is visible. These signals demonstrate your readiness to perceive clearly and maintain attention without being carried away by old patterns. These inner signals shape the texture of your daily experience. They reveal how habitual reactions are modulated, how attention can linger without compulsion, and how awareness perceives its own processes. Even ordinary life, conversations, gestures, routines, becomes a living field in which subtle intelligence is present and observable. As you continue to observe, these signals illustrate the fine structure of attention and energy within consciousness. A small shift in posture, a fleeting movement of thought, or a subtle change in sensation is not insignificant. Each carries information about the ongoing harmonization of mind and body. You notice which impulses are habitual, which patterns support clarity, and how the flow of energy shapes your experience from moment to moment. These inner signals also bridge the quiet stillness you have cultivated with the emergent steady alignment of attention and energy. Within them, your mind's natural capacity for clarity, organization, and insight begins to appear, not through effort or instruction, but as spontaneous, observable patterns. The signals are subtle yet precise, intimate yet universal, revealing your mind's capacity to perceive its own organization. In observing these inner signals, you cultivate a refined sensitivity to the rhythm of your own awareness. Ordinary events become mirrors. The tone of a voice, the cadence of a gesture, or the motion of your own body reveals subtle currents within consciousness. You learn to perceive attention as it gathers, disperses, and realigns itself without forcing or manipulating it. Each signal is a guide, showing the readiness of your mind to perceive clearly and respond with coherence. Ultimately, these inner signals demonstrate that your consciousness possesses its own intelligence. You can map your internal patterns, notice habitual impulses, and observe the movement of energy and attention. This subtle awareness is a prerequisite for the steady integration that follows as your mind aligns naturally. Through these inner signals, your mind quietly organizes itself, revealing patterns and flows that hint at the coherent, attentive, and stable awareness that is emerging. Adhiṭṭhāna, Unshakable Alignment, integration of awareness. Adhiṭṭhāna, in classical Buddhist texts, is often translated as determination, resolve, or steadfastness, but its full meaning goes deeper. It represents the natural integration of discernment, stillness, and inner signals into a coherent field of awareness, an alignment that is steady, self-sustaining, and resilient. For you, this means your attention, energy, and perception move together in harmony, without effort, without forcing control, and without losing warmth or engagement with life. At this stage, your mental currents flow with a quiet sovereignty. Thoughts, emotions, and impulses no longer dominate your attention. They arise, register, and dissolve, within the context of a stable interior space. This alignment is not rigid discipline, nor does it suppress spontaneity. It is the natural expression of a mind that has noticed its tendencies, allowed them to settle, and observed the subtle signals that indicate coherence. Your awareness moves with clarity, flexible yet grounded, responsive yet not reactive. This alignment shows itself in both mind and body. You may notice subtle steadiness in posture, the rhythm of your breathing, or small muscular tensions that are naturally relaxed. The flow of energy through your body reflects the clarity of your attention, and your perception becomes coherent and integrated. Ordinary moments, a conversation, moving through space, or performing a simple task, reveal this alignment. Each micro moment is experienced with continuity, as if your mind carries a natural orientation toward coherence, guiding attention, energy, and perception together. This state is not manufactured or forced. It emerges from careful observation of your own mental processes, from familiarizing yourself with how attention moves, and from allowing habitual impulses to settle without resistance. Craving, aversion, and distraction do not vanish by effort. Their influence simply diminishes as your mind organizes itself. In this, you begin to witness a fundamental principle. Consciousness has the capacity to harmonize and stabilize itself when attention is cultivated with clarity and care. Unshakable alignment is warm and engaged. Even in challenging or uncertain situations, your mind retains subtle steadiness. Emotions are not suppressed. They are recognized, understood, and integrated. Your energy flows coherently without being scattered or constrained. Daily life itself becomes a mirror of this alignment. Decisions are met with calm clarity. Conversations unfold without compulsion, and tasks are performed with ease and attentive presence. This integration also affects your relationships and interactions. You notice how your alignment influences the way you engage with others and the world. Sensitivity and discernment allow you to participate without being overwhelmed. Stillness provides the space to respond without agitation, and your awareness of subtle inner signals guides how attention and energy flow in each situation. Together, these qualities let you move through life with quiet authority, grounded intelligence, and natural attunement to yourself and your surroundings. From the perspective of awareness, this alignment represents the mind observing itself in action. Thoughts, impulses, and sensations are integrated into a coherent field that requires no external validation or artificial structure. It is a living intelligence, present in every action, perception, and moment of awareness, quietly demonstrating your mind's ability to organize, stabilize, and harmonize itself. This steady alignment bridges your inner clarity with outward action. Life's unpredictability does not disappear, but your response to it changes. You recognize tension, disruption, and impermanence without losing your coherence. You perceive clearly and act with integrity, embodying the principle that steadfastness arises from awareness, not control or resistance. In this unshakable alignment, ordinary life transforms. Walking, speaking, listening, or working all reflect the integration of attention, energy, and perception. Even the smallest acts carry subtle intelligence. This integration is both culmination and foundation. It demonstrates the coherence that allows further insight, while simultaneously providing a living field in which everyday experience becomes a reflection of awakening. Ultimately, Unshakable alignment is not a final state, but a dynamic, ongoing integration. It embodies your mind's capacity for self-organization, resilience, and clarity. Together with discernment, stillness, and awareness of inner signals, it maps the subtle, ongoing process of awakening. Here, you discover how your mind can observe, align, and stabilize itself naturally, making clarity, coherence, and presence a lived reality rather than a distant goal. The silence that holds. When discernment has arisen, stillness has deepened, inner signals are noticed, and alignment has settled, a quiet presence remains, a silence that holds. This is not emptiness, not a pause imposed on life, and not a withdrawal from the world. It is the natural stabilization of your attention, energy, and awareness, a subtle architecture unfolding within your consciousness. In this silence, ordinary life continues, yet everything feels different. Your thoughts move with clarity rather than compulsion. Emotions signal rather than dictate. Energy flows coherently. Your attention perceives before reacting, and the habitual turbulence of your mind softens. You may notice it in small moments. The calm that arises during a tense interaction, the gentle awareness of a passing thought, or the quiet presence you bring to a simple task. Each ordinary moment becomes a reflection of your mind's subtle order. This silence is the holding space of the four aspects. Viveka has refined your discernment. Nirodha has deepened your stillness. Nimitta has revealed subtle internal signals, and Adhiṭṭhāna has integrated them into unshakable alignment. Together, they form a living map, not a set of instructions to follow, but a framework to recognize and inhabit. When you allow your mind to organize naturally, it manifests its own intelligence, capable of navigating life with steadiness, subtlety, and presence. Within this space, insight and curiosity coexist. If you have experienced these currents, there's a quiet recognition. Your mind has been awake all along, even in moments that felt ordinary or unnoticed. If you have not yet noticed, this silence invites you to explore, a gentle awareness that beneath distraction and turbulence, your consciousness carries an innate capacity to settle, align, and observe itself. The silence that holds is neither an endpoint nor a fixed state. It is an ongoing resonance, subtle, alive, and profoundly human. It demonstrates that spiritual awakening is not only an extraordinary insight, but also the quiet, intelligent reorganization of everyday experience. It is the mind's own wisdom, revealing itself softly, steadily, and fully within the rhythm of your ordinary life. If this wisdom resonates with you, please like this video and subscribe to join us on the path of conscious living.